Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Horizon and watched the stars through the main screen. His crew had been exploring space for 3 months now, and they had found nothing but empty planets and dead rocks. Today felt different, though because their long-range sensors had picked up something new. Dr. Elena Rodriguez walked up to him with her tablet in hand. She was the ship's expert on alien life, and she looked excited about something. Her dark eyes were bright as she showed him the readings on her screen. "Captain, we have found them," she said quietly. "The signals are not natural, and they are coming from that star system ahead of us. Someone is out there, and they are using technology." Jake felt his heart beat faster. Humans had been looking for other intelligent life for over 200 years. Now they might have finally found it. He turned to his second-in-command, Lieutenant Commander Ryan Brooks, who was checking the ship's weapons systems. "Ryan, what do our defenses look like?" Jake asked. He hoped they would not need weapons, but space could be dangerous and first meetings with aliens might go wrong. "All systems are working perfectly, Captain," Ryan said. "Our shields are at full power, and our energy weapons are ready if we need them. I hope we do not have to use them, though." Jake nodded and looked back at Elena. "What do you think we should do when we meet them?" he asked her. She had studied alien contact procedures for years, and he trusted her judgment about these things. "We should approach slowly and try to communicate," Elena said. "We can send basic math signals first, then move to simple pictures. Most intelligent species should understand mathematics and basic concepts." The horizon moved closer to the alien star system, and soon their sensors picked up massive ships near the fourth planet. The vessels were huge and dark with strange angular designs that looked nothing like human technology. There were hundreds of them floating in space around the planet. "My God, they are enormous," Ryan whispered as he looked at the sensor readings. "Each of those ships is bigger than our largest space station back on Earth. How many beings do you think live on ships that size?" Before anyone could answer, the alien ships suddenly changed direction and began moving toward the horizon. Their speed was incredible, and they would reach the human ship in just a few minutes. Jake felt worried, but he tried to stay calm for his crew. "Elena, start sending your math signals," he ordered. "Let them know we want to talk peacefully. Ryan, keep our shields up, but do not charge weapons unless I tell you to." Elena began broadcasting simple number sequences and basic mathematical equations toward the alien fleet. She also sent pictures showing humans and Earth and peaceful symbols. The response came back within seconds, but it was not what they expected. A harsh voice filled the bridge, speaking in perfect English. The tone was cold and full of anger. "Weak mammals, you will surrender now or face destruction. We are the Zephyrian Empire, and we have conquered 47 worlds. Your pathetic species will serve us or die." Jake felt shock run through him. These aliens could speak English, and they were threatening humanity immediately. There was no attempt at peaceful contact or diplomatic discussion. Elena looked terrified, and Ryan was already reaching for the weapons controls. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earthship Horizon," Jake replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "We come in peace and wish to establish friendly relations with your people. We can offer trade agreements and cultural exchange." Alien voice laughed, and the sound was like metal scraping against metal. "Your entertainment transmissions have shown us your weakness. You are a soft species that values peace over strength. We will take your world and use your people as workers. Prepare for boarding or we will destroy your ship." Ryan looked at Jake with wide eyes. "Captain, they are charging weapons," he said. "Multiple ships are targeting us and their energy readings are off the charts." Jake realized they had made a terrible mistake. These aliens were not interested in peace or friendship. They saw humans as weak prey to be conquered and enslaved. First contact had gone horribly wrong, and now his ship and crew were in deadly danger. "Elena, download everything from their communications," he ordered quickly. "We need to learn all we can about them. Ryan, prepare for emergency jump back to Earth. Full power to engines and shields. The first alien energy blasts hit the Horizon's shields, and the ship shook violently. Lights flickered and alarms began ringing throughout the vessel. More ships were approaching fast, and their weapons were much more powerful than anything humans had ever built. "Jump drive is ready, Captain," Ryan shouted over the noise. "But they are trying to attach something to our hull. It looks like some kind of tracking device." Jake had no choice. His ship could not fight hundreds of alien warships and survive. "Jump now," he commanded. "Get us home immediately." The Horizon disappeared in a flash of blue light, leaving the alien fleet behind. But Jake knew this was not the end. It was only the beginning of something much worse. The aliens had found humanity, and they wanted war. The UES Horizon arrived at Earth 3 days later and immediately sent emergency signals to every military base and government building on the planet. Admiral Lisa Carter was in her office at the United Earth Defense Council when the alert came through. She had been expecting a routine exploration report, but instead got news that changed everything. Captain Jake Morrison sat across from her desk and explained what had happened during first contact. His face was serious and tired as he described the alien threats and their overwhelming military power. Admiral Carter listened carefully and felt worry growing in her chest. "They called us weak mammals," Jake said quietly. "They have been watching our entertainment shows and monitoring our communications. They think we are soft because we prefer peace to war. They do not understand that humans can be dangerous when threatened." General Marcus Webb entered the room carrying files about Earth's military capabilities. He was a big man with gray hair and scars from the Mars colony wars 20 years earlier. His expression was grim as he looked at the sensor data from the alien encounter. "How many ships did you count, Captain?" Marcus asked. Jake looked at his notes and shook his head. "Our computers detected over 3,000 vessels in that system alone. Each one was larger than anything we have ever built. If they decide to attack Earth, we will be facing impossible odds." Admiral Carter called an emergency meeting of world leaders and military commanders. Within 6 hours, representatives from every nation were gathered in the council chambers either in person or through video links. The room was filled with worried voices speaking in dozens of languages. President Amanda Foster stood at the main podium and addressed the assembly. She was a calm woman who had led Earth through several crises, but nothing like this. Her voice was steady as she explained the alien threat to the gathered leaders. "Fellow humans, we face the greatest challenge in our species' history," she said. "An alien empire has found us, and they demand our complete surrender. They have given us no choice except slavery or death. We must decide how humanity will respond to this ultimatum." Dr. Nathan Cross was called in to brief the council about Earth's defensive capabilities. He was a thin man with wild hair who worked on experimental weapons in secret laboratories. His projects had been considered too dangerous for normal use, but now they might be humanity's only hope. "We have been developing quantum-based weapons for the past 5 years, Nathan explained to the room. "The technology is untested and extremely risky, but it might give us a chance against superior alien forces. We also have experimental shield systems that could protect our cities and space stations." Commander Sophie Martinez stepped forward to discuss military preparations. She was the leader of Earth's elite space marines and had trained soldiers for combat in zero-gravity environments. Her units were small but highly skilled and ready for any mission. "Our ground forces are limited, but well-trained," Sophie reported. "We have about 50,000 space marines ready for combat operations. Our pilots can handle any spacecraft we have built, but we do not know how they will perform against alien technology." The debate continued for hours as leaders argued about humanity's response. Some wanted to try negotiating with the aliens, while others demanded immediate military preparation. The discussion was interrupted when every communication device on Earth suddenly activated at the same time. The alien voice that had threatened Captain Morrison now spoke directly to every human on the planet. Televisions turned on by themselves. and radio broadcasts were replaced with the cold mechanical words of the Zephyrian Empire. Even personal phones and computers displayed the same terrifying message. Humans of Earth, you have 72 hours to surrender unconditionally, the voice announced. All military forces must stand down, and your leaders must prepare for our arrival. Any resistance will result in the complete destruction of your species. You have been warned. The message was accompanied by images of alien warships destroying other planets. Huge cities were reduced to burning ruins in seconds as the Zephyrian fleet demonstrated their power. Millions of beings from different species were shown being loaded onto transport ships as slaves. Fear spread across Earth as people watched. The alien ultimatum, in factories like the one where Bill Thompson worked production, stopped as employees gathered around screens to watch the terrifying broadcast. Schools where teachers like Mary Johnson tried to calm frightened children were filled with crying and panic. President Foster called another emergency session as reports came in from around the world. Several nations wanted to surrender immediately, while others demanded that Earth fight back regardless of the odds. The unity that had brought humanity together in space was starting to crack under pressure. We cannot let fear divide us now, Amanda said firmly. The aliens expect us to panic and surrender because they think we are weak. They have studied our entertainment and concluded that humans avoid conflict. They are about to learn how wrong they are. Admiral Carter received reports that alien ships had been detected at the edge of the solar system. Long-range sensors showed the massive fleet moving slowly toward Earth while broadcasting surrender demands every few hours. The countdown to invasion had begun. General Webb ordered all military forces to battle stations and began moving warships into defensive positions. Around Earth and Mars, he knew the human fleet was outnumbered 10-1, but he was determined to make the aliens pay for every kilometer they advanced. Dr. Cross worked frantically to prepare his experimental weapons, while Commander Martinez began training civilian volunteers for combat. Time was running out, and humanity needed every advantage they could find against an enemy that had conquered dozens of worlds. As the 72-hour deadline approached, Earth's leaders made their final decision. They would not surrender to aliens, who demanded slavery or death. Humanity would fight back with everything they had and show the Zephyrian Empire what happened when they threatened the wrong species with extinction. Warprime Kethvar stood on the command bridge of his flagship and watched the small blue planet through the viewing screen. He had conquered 47 worlds for the Zephyrian Empire, and Earth would be number 48. The humans had not responded to their surrender ultimatum, which meant they would die like all the other stubborn species. The mammals remained silent, Warprime, his tactical officer reported. Their space around the planet appears empty except for a few small defensive platforms. They may have already fled to hide on the surface. Kethvar laughed with satisfaction. These soft creatures were even weaker than their entertainment transmissions had suggested. Most species at least tried to negotiate or beg for mercy when facing the Zephyrian fleet. Humans were apparently too frightened to even respond. "Begin the demonstration attack," he commanded. "Destroy their colonies on the Red Planet to show them our power. Leave the main world intact until they surrender properly." 800 Zephyrian warships broke away from the main fleet and headed toward Mars, where human settlements had been built over the past century. Colonel Alex Rivera watched them approach from the command center of the largest defense station orbiting the Red Planet. "All units prepare for combat," Alex ordered through his communications system. "We knew this moment would come, and we are ready for them. Remember that every second we delay them gives Earth more time to prepare." The Mars Defense Network consisted of 20 platforms armed with particle beam weapons and missile launchers. They were designed to protect mining operations and research facilities, not to fight a massive alien invasion fleet. Alex knew his forces would be destroyed, but he intended to make the aliens work for their victory. The first wave of Zephyrian ships opened fire with energy weapons that turned 3 defense platforms into glowing debris within seconds. The human weapons fired back and managed to damage several alien vessels, but their shields absorbed most of the incoming fire. "Their technology is more advanced than ours," Alex reported to Earth Command. "But their ships are not invincible. Our weapons can hurt them if we get enough hits on target." The battle continued for 30 minutes as human defenders fought desperately against overwhelming odds. Colonel Rivera's platform was the last one standing when the aliens moved in for the final strike. He prepared to die fighting when something unexpected happened. Dr. Nathan Cross had been working around the clock to activate his experimental quantum mines throughout the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. The weapons had been considered failures because they were too unstable and dangerous to test properly. Now humanity had nothing left to lose. "Detonate the quantum field," Nathan ordered from his laboratory on Earth. "All units execute Protocol 7 immediately." The space around Mars suddenly erupted in brilliant flashes of blue and white light as quantum mines activated throughout the region. The weapons did not simply explode like normal devices. Instead, they created cascading energy fields that tore apart matter at the molecular level. Zephyrian ships that had seemed invincible moments before began dissolving as their hulls came apart, atom by atom. The alien energy shields offered no protection against weapons that attacked the fundamental forces holding matter together. 800 warships became clouds of scattered particles in less than 5 minutes. "Impossible," War Prime Kethvar snarled as he watched his fleet disappear. "These mammals do not possess such advanced technology. Our intelligence reports showed them to be primitive and weak." Captain Jake Morrison appeared on the alien command screen from the bridge of his new ship, the UES Retribution. Behind him stood Dr. Elena Rodriguez, who had spent weeks analyzing captured Zephyrian technology from their first encounter. Her work had led to breakthrough discoveries about alien shield frequencies. "Attention, Zephyrian Empire," Jake said calmly. "You made a serious mistake when you threatened humanity with extinction. We may prefer peace, but we are very good at war when necessary. Your demonstration attack has failed, and now you will see what humans can do when we stop being nice." The human fleet emerged from hiding positions throughout the solar system as stealth fields deactivated around hundreds of Earth warships. The vessels had been equipped with new weapons based on Elena's research and modified shield systems that could resist Zephyrian energy attacks. Lieutenant Hannah Price piloted her fighter toward the largest alien command ship while dodging defensive fire from multiple directions. Her small craft was equipped with an experimental phase drive that Dr. Cross had designed specifically for suicide attacks against heavily armored targets. "This is for everyone who believed humans were weak," Hannah said as she activated the phase drive and aimed her fighter at the alien vessel's bridge section. At the last second, she ejected from her cockpit while her unmanned ship tore through the enemy hull and exploded inside their command center. The Zephyrian formation broke apart as human ships attacked from multiple directions using tactics the aliens had never encountered before. Earth forces moved in coordinated groups that covered each other's weaknesses while exploiting gaps in alien defenses. "Our shields are failing," the Zephyrian tactical officer reported to War Prime Kethvar. "The human weapons are operating on frequencies that bypass our defensive systems. They have somehow learned to counter our technology." Kethvar realized that his empire had made a terrible error in judgment. These mammals were not the weak prey species their intelligence had suggested. Humans were adapters who learned from their enemies and turned captured technology into new weapons. "All ships retreat to minimum safe distance," he ordered. "We must regroup and call for reinforcements from the home worlds. These creatures are more dangerous than we anticipated." The surviving Zephyrian ships pulled back toward the outer solar system while human forces pursued them relentlessly. Admiral Carter coordinated the attack from Earth Command while General Webb managed ground-based weapons that could target alien vessels in high orbit. "Do not let them escape," Lisa ordered. We need to capture their communication equipment and learn everything we can about their empire. This is only the beginning of a much larger war. The first battle ended with the complete destruction of most Zephyrian attack forces. Over 2,000 alien ships had been reduced to wreckage floating in space around Mars. The humans had lost only 12 vessels and fewer than 300 personnel. War Prime Kethvar stared at the tactical display showing his devastating losses and realized that the Zephyrian Empire had awakened something it did not understand. These mammals had teeth and claws hidden beneath their peaceful exterior, and now they were fully exposed. The surviving Zephyrian ships retreated to the edge of the solar system and began broadcasting emergency signals to their home empire. War Prime Kethvar needed reinforcements immediately because these mammals had proven far more dangerous than anyone had expected. His tactical reports described weapons that dissolved matter and humans who fought with surprising skill. General Marcus Webb coordinated the cleanup operations around Mars, while teams of engineers collected wreckage from destroyed alien ships. Every piece of Zephyrian technology was valuable because it could teach humanity new ways to fight their enemies. The war was far from over, and Earth needed every advantage possible. Dr. Elena Rodriguez led the research teams that were reverse engineering captured alien equipment in laboratories around the world. She had been studying Zephyrian biology and technology since their first encounter, and now she had access to complete ship systems and even some alien bodies. Their technology is based on crystalline matrices that store and channel energy, Elena explained to a group of scientists and military officers. We can learn to duplicate their power systems and maybe even improve them using human engineering methods. Engineer Tony Walker was put in charge of modifying Earth's manufacturing capabilities to produce new weapons and ships. His factories had been building civilian spacecraft and mining equipment, but now they needed to create warships faster than ever before in human history. We can retool our assembly lines to produce military vessels in days instead of months, Tony reported to Admiral Carter. The alien technology uses materials and construction methods that are actually simpler than our current designs. We can build bigger and stronger ships using their techniques. Commander Sophie Martinez began training the first groups of human soldiers in zero-gravity combat using captured Zephyrian weapons and equipment. Her Marines learned quickly how to use alien energy rifles and personal shield generators that made them much more effective in space battles. The aliens fight in rigid formations, and they do not adapt well to changing tactics, Sophie observed during training exercises. Our people are more flexible and creative in combat situations. We can use that advantage to defeat larger enemy forces. Captain Katie Freeman received a special assignment to infiltrate Zephyrian communication networks and intercept their messages to the home empire. She was an expert in electronic warfare who understood both human and alien technology better than almost anyone else on Earth. Dr. Nathan Cross provided her with quantum entanglement devices that could not only listen to alien transmissions, but actually replace them with false information. The plan was to convince the Zephyrian Empire that humans had already surrendered and were no longer a threat. If we can delay their reinforcements even for a few weeks, we will have time to build a proper defense fleet, Nathan explained. The aliens do not know how quickly humans can adapt and innovate when we are motivated by survival. Katie's mission began when she approached the area where Zephyrian ships were broadcasting their emergency signals. Her stealth vessel was equipped with the latest cloaking technology and quantum communication interceptors that could tap into alien networks without being detected. I am reading their transmissions now, Katie reported back to Earth Command. They are requesting immediate reinforcements and describing human weapons as impossible technology. War Prime Kethvar is asking for at least 5,000 additional ships. Using Dr. Cross's quantum devices, Katie began replacing the alien emergency signals with false messages that described a successful conquest of Earth. The fake transmissions reported that humans had surrendered after minimal resistance, and that No additional forces were needed in the solar system. Engineer Paul Anderson worked with teams around the world to design new types of spacecraft that combined human engineering with captured alien technology. His hybrid designs were faster and more powerful than anything either species had built before. "We are not just copying their technology," Paul explained during a design meeting. "We are improving it using human innovation and creativity. These new ships will be superior to anything the Zephyrian Empire has in their fleet." The first hybrid warships began rolling out of factories on Earth and Mars within 2 weeks of the initial battle. The vessels combined human adaptability with alien power systems and weapons to create something entirely new and dangerous. Commander Martinez led test flights of the new fighters and reported that their performance exceeded all expectations. The ships were faster than Zephyrian vessels, and their weapons could penetrate alien shields that had seemed invulnerable just days earlier. Meanwhile, Dr. Rodriguez made breakthrough discoveries about Zephyrian biology that led to the development of weapons specifically designed to target alien physiology. The new devices would be deadly to Zephyrians but harmless to humans and other species. Their nervous systems operate on different frequencies than ours, Elena explained. "We can create sonic and electromagnetic weapons that will disable them without affecting human personnel. This gives us a huge advantage in close combat situations." The Zephyrian reinforcement fleet received Katie's false messages and changed course away from Earth, believing that the invasion had been successful. War Prime Kethvar was confused when no additional ships arrived, but his communications equipment told him that everything was proceeding according to plan. After 3 weeks of preparation, Earth's new defense fleet was ready for combat. Admiral Carter commanded over 800 hybrid warships that were faster and more powerful than the original human fleet. Each vessel was crewed by personnel trained in both human and alien combat techniques. General Webb coordinated ground-based defenses that included quantum minefields throughout the solar system and orbital platforms armed with weapons that could destroy capital ships with single shots. Earth had become a fortress that would be extremely difficult for any enemy to conquer. The moment of truth came when Zephyrian scout ships finally arrived to check on their supposedly conquered territory. Instead of finding enslaved humans, they discovered a species that had not only survived but had evolved into something far more dangerous than before. "Impossible," the scout commander transmitted back to the main fleet. "The mammals are still free, and they have ships we have never seen before. Their technology appears to be superior to our own. We need immediate assistance." War Prime Kethvar realized that his communications had been compromised and that humans had been playing a deception game while preparing for war. The mammals were not just survivors, they were innovators who could turn any challenge into an opportunity for advancement. War Prime Kethvar stared at the reports from his scout ships and felt something he had never experienced before in 40 years of conquest. Fear was creeping into his mind as he realized that the Zephyrian Empire had made a catastrophic mistake by attacking these mammals called humans. "Prepare all ships for immediate retreat to the home worlds," he ordered his fleet commanders. "We must warn the High Command that these creatures are far more dangerous than our intelligence indicated. They have technology that can destroy our most powerful vessels." The surviving Zephyrian forces began moving away from Earth's solar system as quickly as possible, but they had underestimated human capabilities once again. Admiral Lisa Carter had been tracking their movements and was ready to spring another trap on the retreating enemy. "All units execute Operation Payback," she commanded from the bridge of her flagship. "We are going on the offensive, and these aliens will learn what happens when they threaten humanity with extinction." Captain Jake Morrison led the first human fleet beyond their solar system in an offensive mission against alien targets. His ships were equipped with the latest hybrid technology and crewed by personnel who had trained extensively in Zephyrian combat methods. The hunt was about to begin. Dr. Elena Rodriguez had spent weeks analyzing alien navigation systems and star charts recovered from destroyed ships. Her work allowed human forces to locate Zephyrian military bases and supply stations throughout their territory. The aliens would find no safe haven from human revenge. Their empire controls 12 star systems with major military installations on 36 planets, Elena briefed the fleet commanders. Each facility contains thousands of alien personnel and represents decades of conquest and oppression. We can liberate entire species by destroying their occupation forces. The human fleet emerged from hyperspace near the first Zephyrian outpost and immediately began attacking with quantum weapons and hybrid energy systems. The alien defenders were caught completely off guard because they had never faced enemies who pursued them to their own territory. Commander Sophie Martinez led the first human ground assault on an alien military base located on a moon orbiting a gas giant. Her Marines used captured Zephyrian equipment along with new weapons designed specifically for fighting in alien environments. Remember that we are not just fighting for Earth, Sophie told her troops as they prepared for battle. We are fighting for every species these aliens have enslaved over the past century. Today, we begin to liberate the galaxy from Zephyrian oppression. The ground battle was swift and decisive as human forces demonstrated superior tactics and adaptability against alien defenders who had grown complacent from decades of easy victories. Sophie's Marines captured the base in 6 hours and freed over 10,000 enslaved beings from various species. Colonel Alex Rivera commanded the massive warship UES Vengeance during the assault on a major Zephyrian shipyard facility. The station was defended by War Admiral Thekmore, who had been responsible for conquering 15 worlds before humanity entered the war. Human vessel, this is War Admiral Thekmore of the Zephyrian Imperial Fleet, came the transmission as Rivera's ship approached the station. I offer terms for negotiation and peaceful resolution of this conflict. We can reach agreements that benefit both our species. Rivera's response became legendary throughout human space and was recorded for history. Alien Commander, you wanted to make my species extinct without negotiation or mercy. Now we will show you what extinction actually looks like. Prepare to face the consequences of your actions. The UES Vengeance opened fire with quantum cascade weapons that tore through the alien station's defenses like paper. Within minutes, the massive facility was reduced to glowing debris floating in space while human ships rescued enslaved workers from the wreckage. Dr. Nathan Cross had perfected his quantum technology to create weapons capable of sterilizing entire planets, if necessary. The devices could unravel the molecular bonds that held matter together and leave worlds completely lifeless. The question was whether humanity should use such terrible power. We have the ability to destroy their home worlds. Completely, Nathan reported to Earth's leadership during a secure communication session. The quantum cascade bombs can eliminate all life on a planet in minutes, but using them would make us as genocidal as the aliens we are fighting. Captain Katie Freeman continued her electronic warfare mission by infiltrating Zephyrian communication networks throughout their empire. She discovered that many alien species were enslaved by the Zephyrians and would welcome liberation by human forces. The Vorthan people have been fighting a resistance war against Zephyrian occupation for 20 years, Katie reported. They have requested military assistance and are willing to provide intelligence about alien defenses. We could gain powerful allies in this conflict. The human offensive continued across 3 star systems as Admiral Carter's fleet systematically destroyed Zephyrian military installations and freed enslaved populations. Each victory brought new allies and intelligence that made subsequent attacks even more effective. Engineer Paul Anderson's hybrid warships proved superior to anything the Zephyrian Empire could deploy against them. The vessels combined human innovation with alien technology to create spacecraft that were faster, stronger, and more heavily armed than traditional designs from either species. Our new ships are performing beyond all expectations, Paul reported from the front lines. The aliens cannot match our speed or firepower, and their tactics have not adapted to fighting against human creativity. We are winning every engagement. The liberation of enslaved species created a snowball effect as newly freed peoples provided information about other Zephyrian facilities and joined human forces in the fight against their former oppressors. The alien empire began collapsing as their victims turned against them. Commander Martinez established training facilities on liberated worlds where former slaves learned to use captured Zephyrian weapons and equipment. The resistance movement grew stronger with each planet that was freed from alien control. "We are not conquering these worlds," Sophie explained to her expanding forces. "We are liberating them and helping their people rebuild their freedom. This is what separates us from the Zephyrian Empire and makes our cause just." The final major battle of the offensive occurred when human forces encountered the main Zephyrian battle fleet near their home system. War Prime Kethvar had gathered every available ship to make a last stand against the advancing human armada. "Today we face the species that thought humans were weak mammals, suitable only for slavery," Admiral Carter announced to her fleet. "They wanted war, and we gave them exactly what they asked for. Now they will learn the price of threatening humanity with extinction." The battle lasted 12 hours and ended with the complete destruction of the Zephyrian Empire's primary military force. Their home worlds lay defenseless before the advancing human fleet, while their enslaved victims celebrated the approaching liberation from decades of oppression. The human fleet approached Zephyr Prime with Admiral Lisa Carter, commanding over 2,000 warships that represented the most powerful military force ever assembled in galactic history. The alien home world floated before them like a dark jewel surrounded by the wreckage of their once mighty empire. Supreme War Leader Vex Thul broadcast a final desperate message from the planetary surface as human ships took positions around his world. His voice carried none of the arrogance that had marked previous Zephyrian communications, and instead trembled with fear and desperation. "Human commanders, we offer complete surrender and unconditional terms for peace," Vex Thul transmitted. "The Zephyrian Empire will pay tribute to Earth for 1,000 years and cede all conquered territories to your control. We beg for mercy and the chance to coexist with your superior species." Admiral Carter received the alien surrender offer while standing on the bridge of her flagship surrounded by the greatest military leaders humanity had ever produced. General Marcus Webb stood beside her, along with Dr. Elena Rodriguez and Captain Jake Morrison, who had started this war with first contact. "What do you think about their offer?" Carter asked her assembled staff. The question carried enormous weight because humanity's response would determine the future of galactic civilization and Earth's role among the stars. Dr. Rodriguez spoke first with sadness in her voice. "They are requesting mercy after offering us only extinction. These aliens chose genocide as their first option when they encountered humanity. Can we trust a species that views other beings as slaves or obstacles to be eliminated?" General Webb was more direct in his assessment of the situation. "Admiral, they have conquered 47 worlds and enslaved billions of beings over the past century. Their own transmissions showed us the destroyed cities and murdered populations. They only want mercy now because they are facing defeat." Captain Morrison added his perspective based on the original encounter that had started the conflict. "When we offered them trade and friendship, they responded with threats and violence. They called us weak mammals and promised to cleanse our species from existence. Nothing has changed except their military position." Admiral Carter knew that this decision would define humanity's character as a galactic power. She opened a communication channel to Earth, where President Amanda Foster was waiting along with representatives from every nation and liberated world. "President Foster, we have received the Zephyrian surrender offer," Carter reported. "They promise tribute and territorial concessions in exchange for survival. We need guidance from Earth's leadership about how humanity should respond to this request." President Foster had been consulting with world leaders and ordinary citizens about the most important decision in human history. The choice was not just about military strategy, but about what kind of species humanity wanted to become among the stars. "Admiral, we have polling data from every human settlement and liberated world," Amanda replied. "The decision is unanimous across all populations and species. The Zephyrians chose extinction as our fate, so they will receive exactly what they tried to give us." Factory worker Bill Thompson had voted along with billions of other humans about the alien surrender offer. His choice was influenced by seeing the broadcasts of destroyed worlds and enslaved populations that the Zephyrians had created during their conquests. Teacher Mary Johnson had discussed the decision with her students and colleagues before casting her vote. The consensus was clear that a species which chose genocide over diplomacy could never be trusted to coexist peacefully with other civilizations. Dr. Nathan Cross received the authorization to activate his quantum cascade network for the final time. The weapons were positioned throughout the Zephyrian home system and would eliminate not just their military forces, but their entire technological civilization. "Quantum cascade systems are online and ready for activation," Nathan reported from his control station on Earth. "The weapons will target every piece of advanced technology in their system, including ships, orbital platforms, and ground installations." "Are you certain about this decision, Admiral?" Admiral Carter looked at the alien world one final time before giving the order that would end the Zephyrian Empire forever. They wanted to make humanity extinct without mercy or negotiation. Today, they learn the consequences of that choice. Activate the Extinction Protocol. The quantum cascade weapons fired simultaneously throughout the Zephyrian system, creating cascading energy fields that unraveled the molecular bonds holding their technology together. Every ship, every space station, every advanced device simply ceased to exist as matter returned to its component atoms. On the surface of Zephyr Prime, the alien cities went dark as their power systems dissolved and their computer networks vanished. The Zephyrians found themselves reduced to a primitive Stone Age civilization without any memory of how their advanced technology had functioned. Supreme War Leader Vexthul watched helplessly as his empire disappeared around him, leaving only confused aliens standing in the ruins of what had once been the greatest military power in the galaxy. The quantum weapons had spared biological life, but destroyed everything else. "The Zephyrian Empire has been terminated," Admiral Carter announced to the combined human and allied fleet. "Their military capability no longer exists, and their people have been returned to a primitive state. They can no longer threaten any other species in the galaxy." Captain Morrison led relief efforts for the newly liberated worlds, while Commander Sophie Martinez established peacekeeping forces to maintain order during the transition period. The former slaves were free to rebuild their civilizations without fear of alien oppression. Dr. Rodriguez began working with representatives from dozens of species to establish the Interspecies Cooperation Institute. The organization would promote peaceful contact and prevent future conflicts through diplomacy and mutual understanding rather than military conquest. Engineer Paul Anderson's shipyards continued producing advanced vessels, but now they were used for exploration and trade rather than warfare. Humanity had become the dominant military power in their region of space, but chose to use that strength to protect rather than conquer. Admiral Carter issued humanity's new policy statement to the galaxy from the bridge of her flagship as the fleet prepared to return home. Her words were broadcast to every known species and recorded for future generations. "We came to the stars. In peace-seeking friendship and knowledge," Carter announced. "The Zephyrian Empire chose war and threatened us with extinction. Now you know what humans do to those who make such threats. We offer cooperation to all peaceful species, but we will show no mercy to any who choose genocide over diplomacy." The human fleet departed the former Zephyrian territory, leaving behind a galaxy that had been fundamentally changed by their intervention. Dozens of species were free for the first time in generations, while a powerful empire had been reduced to primitive survivors on a single world. Earth celebrated the end of the war, but also mourned the necessity of such extreme measures. Humanity had proven their strength, but also their willingness to use terrible weapons when faced with extinction. The galaxy would remember both lessons for centuries to come.